everyone, so I'm continuing with my series today, which is connecting the tarot cards to Kim Kranz's Archetypes from her Wild Unknown deck. It's a really beautiful way to find new meanings within the cards, and so I'm excited to carry on. So I'm using the Pagan Otherworlds tarot deck today. It's one of my favourite decks. Let's pick a card for the day. Okay, we have the Two of Swords. So there's a picture of two swords and a blindfold between them, and they're hovering over a sea with some rocky outcrops, and I think that's a waning moon. It's almost a new moon. Okay, let's pick an archetype for the day and see what connections and meanings and insights we can draw from the combination. Okay, the Shaman. How intriguing. The Shaman. Alright, let's see what Kim Kranz has to say about the Shaman as an archetype. Just find that. The Shaman. The Magi, the Sorcerer, the Medicine Woman. 3 archetypal ingredients constitute the Shaman, and all must be present in order to reveal its magic. First, the Shaman is activated by long-standing and diligent study, the mental. Second, its orientation is generously and accurately aimed toward the healing of the self, the other, and the culture, the healer. And third, the Shaman has a knack for finding doorways to the other world, allowing psychic visions and old magic to leak into this world, the unseen. In this way, the Shaman is a master who bridges the everyday and the sacred, revealing potent power needed desperately in our time. Yet where there is power, there is shadow. So the Shaman must be vigilant in studying their darkness. This card reminds us that the force of healing is ultimately not our own. We must shape it and share it with the world. The Shaman can't be rushed. Working with this archetype requires study and perseverance. Think of it like brining or marinating. The content must permeate every fibre of its being. Contrary to popular belief, the Shaman archetype appears in every vocation. Teachers, directors, surgeons, politicians, and poets are just a few of the faces a shaman may wear. Fearless student and practitioner. Wow. I think that's such a beautiful description of what the Shaman is. It's the healing capacity in all of us. So thinking about the connection between these two cards, the Two of Swords is traditionally associated with being at a crossroads, which I suppose is represented here with the swords crossing, and needing to make a choice. The blindfold, usually there's a figure of a woman on this card, but in the Otherworlds deck here, there aren't any figures, and the blindfold is sort of interweaving around the swords. I find it really interesting that this is talking about a choice that we all have, and we often come to points in our lives where we need to make a choice, where we need to choose one path over the other. And the Shaman, I really loved what Kim Kranz says about everyone having this archetype within them, and that no matter what job you have or what role you play in the world, that there is always a healing aspect to that. And often we don't necessarily know, what we're doing within our jobs. We focus so much on bringing benefit to ourselves sometimes, and especially in the 9-to-5 culture that we live in, so much is concerned with the self and making profit for the self, living a very individualistic lifestyle, and feeling quite cut off from society in a way, and that's the sort of prevalent culture that we live within. But what if we were all to make a choice to step away from that and move into something that's much less known to us? That would mean that we'd probably need to stumble around a little bit more, but making the choice towards developing the healing capacity within the roles that we play in the world, deciding to take that crossroads instead, and taking that path which is less well trodden. Such an important part of that is, as Kim Kwan said, studying yourself and understanding the darkness within you. And I suppose for me that's what the blindfolds really represent. It's looking inwards, isn't it? When your sight is gone and you can no longer look outwards, you necessarily have to go inwards in order to heal. You need to be willing to look at yourself and see the dark aspects of who you are, because often it's the darkness that lives within us which reflects the healing capacity that we're going to be able to give to the world. It's our own intimate knowledge of ourselves that allows us to connect with the people around us. And so I suppose this pairing, it's a really beautiful pairing, and it brings up a lot of questions for me around what role towards healing can we play in our lives? How can we create more space to heal ourselves and to help towards the healing of others and the planet and our society and culture, which is desperately in need of healing in so many ways? How can we better wear our blindfolds and go inwards and be willing to look at those dark parts of ourselves, because that's where the magic is, really, isn't it? That's where our healing power will come from. What are the stories that we're telling ourselves about those difficult to see aspects of who we are, those difficult to accept aspects of who we are, and how can we change that story? How can we make a choice to change that story for the good of ourselves, for the good of other people, for the good of society, and the good of our planet? Because so often, healing doesn't just happen on one plane, it happens on many planes, and it ripples out. And so making a choice to even heal one small aspect of yourself will have this huge effect on everything around you. And that's really magical. That's the shaman working within you. And it begins with a choice. So yeah, that is the pairing for today. I hope that's been insightful and interesting. Thank you.